For posterity, and for those of you who may be on a social media or podcast journey of your own, this is entry number 1 in a video diary series about my journey making the FLG Golf Podcast. Specifically, this is what I'm learning and what I'm observing about the journey so far, the media landscape, and myself on this journey. We are 2 months since the day that I decided to start this channel, and something that I've changed right away. Originally thought that doing golf news at the back end of every podcast. In fact, in our coming soon video, I talk about that being a goal, but I abandoned that for 2 reasons. Number 1, burnout. If I feel that I need to be connected to golf news daily or weekly and report that, that's going to make the editing process very swift. And it's going to require me to stay connected at all times. I don't think my podcast would necessarily be additive to the landscape if I did that. Every podcast that I listen to and I love already does that, has better access than I do. So I think that the FLG Golf Podcast can exist in a space and be successful where we focus on the interviews themselves, which are people who exist in the world of golf that I exist in, and finding real things to learn and inspiration from those stories. And in conducting those first interviews, I really found that 30 minutes itself wasn't enough to let those interviews breathe and shine. And I wanted to make that the full 45 minutes and an hour of each episode. The number 2 thing that I've obviously learned are editing skills. Now, admittedly, my skills are very novice. And if you've watched any of the early episodes, I can't tell you how much I've learned since publishing those. Not just in editing, but in sound quality and efficiency. Creating thumbnails in Canva. Wherever this podcast takes me, these editing skills, using Canva, publishing, producing, are going to be a very good tool in my toolbox for my future. Number 3. To me, this is probably the biggest one. Content iceberg. In 2 months since starting this podcast, it took me about 1 month to actually launch the first bit of content, which was a promo video and 2 episodes. But I've recorded 4 episodes total, and I've recorded content for 2 course reviews, 2 other driving range reviews, and have interviewed people who will be guests on episodes 6 and 7. There are a number of other people in various stages of interest or scheduling. So as you can gather, what you see on the YouTube channel and on the podcast feed is only the tip of the iceberg of what's happening underneath. And I think a challenge will be to obviously produce and edit that content more efficiently so that it can be published faster, and that content iceberg will sort of balance out. I think that my natural exuberance for the subject matter and the journey has created this iceberg, this backlog. And all I can do is sort of be honest with the people that are committing to the episodes that, hey, look, if we're recording now, it's probably going to be till, a month or maybe even longer until it actually sees the light of day. But in a sense, I'm also very happy that when I'm talking to people about scheduling their episodes, I'm not rushing anybody for content. I've got a lot in the pipeline. That's the vibe I want. I do want it to be casual. I don't want it to be, I never want to be desperate for a guest, and I'm not, which is wonderful. But there is a backlog, and it does weigh on me a little bit. But I think as I just get better with that editing process and conducting more efficient, just better interviews, having less waste, that's going to push ahead. The eventual goal is to not have to do any editing, not to have to cut out any segues that necessarily don't make sense. The number 4 thing that I've learned is tone. I think that the tone of actually hosting the episodes comes very natural to me. I'm excited to do these. I've found that kind of comes through on some of the episodes. So that's one less thing to think about. But when I record and cut the introduction to some of those videos, it doesn't always match the tone of the episode itself. So that's something I need to work on. However, in terms of the tone of each episode, I think that's at least off to a good start. Number 5, learning. The FLG Golf Podcast exists to shine a light on people in golf whose lives are outside of the professional tours and the major media spotlight, because that's the golfing reality that I exist in. And if you're watching this, that's the golf reality that you exist in also. So what I knew was that there's a huge global community to learn from and things to be inspired by for people that are more like me than those that I watch on TV. And in just the first few episodes, I've learned a tremendous amount about the varied golf careers that are out there, what it takes to start and continue those journeys, the body as it relates to golf, club fitting, club forging, running golf simulators, and what golf is like in some countries that I haven't gotten the chance to play yet. And the guests that we have lined up for the next couple months, there's a lot more that I'm very excited to learn about. I hope you are too. Stay tuned. Number 6 would be inspiration. Each of the stories that I'm kind of drawing out in some of these early episodes, I'm finding not necessarily in the sense of becoming financially independent or achieving some sort of success by traditional definitions, but golfers are a different breed, and we chase the game because it does something to us. How we feel when we spend hours improving or just being in nature, meeting strangers and encouraging them for a couple hours, or just being with friends. There's an inspiration talking to people who found a career in golf because they use words like salvation or Zen or humanity, relationships, people to describe what golf makes them feel and what they've decided to center their life around. And it's a reminder that there are many other ways to measure success in life. And I think focusing a spotlight on people who have decided to have a career in golf, they're more likely to be the kind of people that value those types of things. And I think that should be an inspiration for a lot of people. Number 7, positive feedback from golfers, from professionals, podcast guests, friends in media, people that I've picked their brain about running a podcast, and who've listened to the early episodes, taken time to listen to my story. I'm confident that we're on the right track with this podcast. The philosophy, the lighthearted nature, the international flavor, given sort of my background where I live in Singapore, the people I interact with daily. These are all positive foundations to build on. Number 8, quality. I know that quality is king. And that the early episodes lack some polish and need some professional refinement. But instead of finicking around with the perfect microphone and camera and background, I hit record as soon as I could. And I got these first episodes out into the world. And that is often a barrier for early podcasters. I know that. So I'm very happy to have kind of blasted past that step, even though some of the early stuff would be better had I, perhaps waited a little longer or had more background in this. But I think that's part of good feedback that I've gotten from people in the industry is, look, just get started. You'll learn as you go. And I have a lot. And also, there's nothing preventing me from having all of the guests that I will be recording in those first few episodes back on the podcast. So to conclude this video diary number 1, I'm encouraged by the first couple months, the first few episodes that I've published in these months, and absolutely what I've learned just doing that. The key will be patience. I think there may not be a catalyst that causes this channel to blow up, in year 1 or year 2 or year 3, but I'm achieving the results that I've set out to early on, which is a learning experience, getting good feedback. And this is a journey for my own knowledge and skills as well. It's a short way of saying, I guess, that the journey is the destination. And thank you for coming on that journey with me. Stay tuned to the FLG Golf Podcast and Golf Movies Podcast coming soon. And we'll see you soon. Take care.